Alena sat in the kitchen, her heart pounding with anger and betrayal. Last night, while she was looking through Edic's phone, she came across a conversation that made her blood boil. The words they exchanged were full of tenderness and passion. She couldn't believe that Edic, with whom she had been together for several years, could change her so easily. She felt like her world was falling apart, and she knew she had to do something to find out the truth about what was happening. Deciding to follow him, Alena dressed in dark clothes to blend in with her surroundings and left the house. She didn't know where exactly he was going, but she knew she had to follow him. Edic often talked about having things to do at work, and she figured that was the time he could meet that woman. When she saw his car, her heart started pounding even faster. Edic parked the car near a small cafe on the outskirts of the city. Alena decided to stand at a distance and watch him closely. She saw him go inside, and taking a deep breath, followed him. When Alena entered the cafe, her heart was pounding in her chest, as if it wanted to break out. She quickly looked around the room, and her gaze fell on Edic. He was sitting at a table with a young, beautiful woman. Alena felt the blood rush to her face, and her fingers clenched into fists. Gathering her courage, Alena came closer, trying not to attract attention. She heard their conversation, and every word was like a knife in the heart. Edic was laughing. He looked happier than ever before. Alena could not stand this sight any longer, and gathering her strength, she turned around and went outside, trying to calm her breathing. Anger and pain overwhelmed her, and she knew that she had to do something. At that moment, she decided that she could not just leave everything as it was. Returning to the cafe, Alena, without thinking, opened the door that led in their direction. When she entered, the young woman turned around and looked at her in surprise. It was the same woman from the correspondence. "Let my husband go!" Alena screamed, her voice sounding like a bolt from the blue. She couldn't hold back the tears that were rolling down her eyes. The woman looked at Alena in bewilderment, but before she could answer, Edic came out of the room. In his arms he was holding a small puppy who was happily wagging his tail. Alena froze, unable to believe her eyes. "Alena!" he exclaimed, his face changing from surprise to embarrassment. "What are you doing here?" Alena couldn't take her eyes off the puppy. This was not what she expected to see. She felt her anger begin to fade, but in its place arose another feeling: confusion. I came to find out the truth," she said, her voice becoming quiet. "I saw you together." "It's not what you think," Edic said, his voice sounding soothing. "We were just choosing a puppy for our new home." Alena couldn't believe her ears. All her suspicions and fears instantly began to dissipate. A puppy? she asked again, not believing. Are you serious? Edic nodded and came closer, placing the puppy on the floor. Yes. Marina and I decided that a dog is what we need to make our home more friendly. I didn't want to bother you until we chose one. Alena looked at Marina, who was standing next to Edic, and her heart sank. She looked kind and sweet, and there was nothing threatening about her. Sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you, Alena said, her voice becoming quiet. I was sure I was seeing something else. It's okay, Marina said, her voice soft. I understand how it might look, but Edic is really just choosing a puppy. Alena felt her anger slowly begin to subside. She couldn't help but feel relieved. Maybe we can all choose a puppy together, she suggested, her voice becoming friendlier. I'd like to take part in this. Edic and Marina exchanged glances, and Alena noticed how their faces broke into smiles. Of course, Marina exclaimed. That's a great idea. They spent the next hour choosing a puppy. Alena felt the tension fading, and she was beginning to understand Edic and his friendship with Marina better. It was a new experience that brought them closer together. When they finally chose a puppy, Alena felt that their relationship had become stronger. She realized that trust was the foundation of their bond, and that sometimes it was worth giving an explanation a chance before jumping to conclusions. Thank you for letting me be a part of this, Alena said as they left the cafe with the puppy in her arms. I'm glad everything worked out. Edic took her hand and looked into her eyes with confidence. I love you, Alena. Nothing can change that. Alena smiled, feeling her heart fill with warmth. This day, which began with bitterness and mistrust, ended with hope and a new chapter in their relationship. She knew that there were many moments together ahead, and now they were ready to go through everything together. A few days passed, and life was gradually returning to normal. Alena decided that she needed to trust Edic more. She knew that if she continued to suspect him without reason, their relationship could be at risk. But sometimes, in the dark corners of her heart, there was still anxiety. One evening, when they were sitting on the couch playing with a new puppy, Alena decided to bring up the topic that was bothering her. Edic, she began, her voice quiet. I want to talk about what happened in the cafe. Edic put the toy down and looked at her, his expression becoming serious. Of course. What do you want to talk about? I don't want misunderstandings to destroy our family, she said. I don't want to feel the way I did then again. Edic nodded, his eyes full of understanding. I understand, and I want you to feel safe too. I didn't want you to worry. Alena felt hope ignite in her heart. She knew that they could overcome any difficulties if they were open with each other. I just want there to be trust between us, she said. I don't want to doubt you ever again. I promise I'll try. You're very important to me, Edic said, and his words sounded sincere. The next day, Alena decided to do something special for Edic. She cooked his favorite dish and decided to have a romantic candlelit dinner. She knew that it would help them strengthen their bond and bring back the atmosphere that had been between them before. When Edic came home, he was pleasantly surprised. The candles were burning in the room, and the table was set. Alena smiled, seeing how his eyes sparkled with joy. This is wonderful, he exclaimed, hugging her. You always know how to cheer me up. They spent the evening laughing and remembering pleasant moments from their lives. Alena felt her heart filling with happiness, and she understood that their relationship was getting stronger. However, deep down, she knew that she had to remain vigilant. Every time Edic was late at work, doubts would pop up in her head again. But she tried not to give in to them and trust her husband. A few weeks passed, and one day Alena saw a message on Edic's phone again. This time she didn't open it, thinking that it could just be business correspondence. However, her heart was pounding, and she couldn't get rid of the feeling of anxiety. In the evening, when Edic came home, Alena decided to talk to him. Edic, I want you to know that I trust you, but sometimes I have doubts, she said, her voice trembling. He looked at her with understanding and nodded. I understand, Alena. It's normal to worry, especially after everything that happened. But I want you to know that I'm here, and I'm not going to deceive you. Alena felt her fears begin to subside. She knew Edic was sincere, and that they could overcome this together. Soon they decided to go on a short weekend trip to spend time together and reconnect. It was a great opportunity to escape the daily grind and enjoy each other. The trip was wonderful. They walked through picturesque places, took photos, and laughed. Alena felt that their relationship was getting even stronger. She understood that trust was the key to their happiness. When they returned home, Alena was full of hope. She knew that many challenges lay ahead, but now they were ready to cope with them together. And although sometimes deep down she still had doubts, she understood that trust was something they had to build together, step by step. Alena was ready to move forward, and she knew that their love could overcome any obstacles.